Hello! Today we are going to talk about concatenation. Concatenation is a really long word, but it means something really simple. It means we are just joining or gluing two strings together. Okay, we have a program down here. And how do we concatenate two words together? We use the plus sign. If we store those words in variables, it's kind of like we're adding two words together. You add two numbers together, 2 plus 2 equals 4. You add my plus word 1 plus a space plus word 2 plus a space plus word 3. You're joining, gluing all those words together into a sentence. So word 1, if we substitute in for my space, word 2 we substitute in for program, space, and is the best we substitute in for word 3, we would get my program is the best. Now I'm actually going to copy this code and jump over to my Python idle and verify that I get the expected output. So if I run this, down below I do see my output. My program is the best. Can I click on this? Yes, I can. So the concatenation part is down here, and indeed, if we open this up, we see the output that we should have gotten. We're going to go ahead and play around with this down below. Again, if you're on the text version, you can click all the way down to the bottom to show interactive, and I'll put it back in the interactive mode. So, what is this going to do? This is going to set word 1 equal to water and word 2 equal to melon. And we're going to print word 1 concatenate word 2. We're going to glue melon and water and melon together and get one word. So what will that give us? Water plus melon gives us watermelon. Doo -doo -doo. Click the next button. Let's try the next activity. Now we have water going into word 1, melon going into word 2. Word 3 is going to add water plus melon. So word 3 is going to store watermelon. And then we're going to print out word 3. So since word 3 has watermelon inside of it, I think it's going to print watermelon. Yes, indeed. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, getting a little more complicated. So word 1 has the word water in it. Word 2 has the word melon in it. Word 3 has word 1 plus word 2, so water plus melon. So word 3 has watermelon in it. So now we're going to print two sentences. The original words are, so this is a string inside quotation marks. We're going to add in the word 1, which is water. Then we're going to add in another string, and then we're going to add in word 2, which is melon. And finally, one more string, a period. So the original words are water and melon, period. The new word is, so this string, plus word 3, which is watermelon, plus a period. So two sentences are going to print. The original words are water and melon. The new word is watermelon. Alrighty. So this one is asking us to do the concatenation ourselves. So we have first name Tim, middle name Berners, last name Lee. So if I do first name plus middle name plus last name, I'm just gluing the three names together. If I click run program, it looks a little hard to read. We don't have any spaces in there. If you recall, in the previous exercises, they would actually insert the spaces in between the variables. So we can do that here. And the way we do that is a quotation mark, space, and a quotation mark, plus. So we are going to add the first name plus one space plus the middle name. I'm going to do it again, plus another space plus the last name. That gives us Tim Berners-Lee. Now it says it's not quite what we're looking for. And I'll confess that's because I didn't read the instructions. What does it want me to do? Change it to print Lee, comma, Tim. Okay, so I'm going to comment this out. So we are going to print, if I can type, the last name first, Lee. Then we're going to put a comma. Then we're going to put the first name. Let's run that and see what that gives us. Lee, comma, Tim. Again, a little tricky to read because we don't have a space in there, so I forgot the space. Let's go back and put the space back up in here. So, for last name plus comma space plus first name. All right, great. You figured out concatenation. This takes a lot of thinking and observation, so you're on the right track for getting comfortable with Python. Good job, everybody. Great teamwork. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So, what's on your list? When's the last time you made a list? Have you made a list? Everybody's made a list at some point, right? It turns out we can make lists in Python too. The way we do this is using square brackets. So what are we doing here? We have a variable called party_to_do_list. A list is a special type of variable. So we've so far dealt with strings and we've dealt with numbers. This is a list. So how we define a list is we start out with square brackets and then we put each item that belongs in the list inside the square brackets separated by a comma. So it just so happens that all of our items here are strings: buy food, play games, decorate, send invites, have fun. But we could also do a list of numbers. If we wanted to do the ages of the students in the class, we could do 10, 11, 12, 13, and have those in our list. Print party to-do list. So I can copy this code if I want to play around with it, paste it into Python idle, and click Run Program. What does this look like? Okay, so when it prints out the list, it prints it out pretty much the same as you type it in. You'll notice it changed the quotation marks to apostrophes, or double quotes to single quotes. However you want to call those. I've heard them called both ways, but it means the same thing. Append the list. Append means to add on to the end. So if we want to add something onto the end, we want to append cook food on the end, they give us a special function just for lists called append, .append. And the way you call that is you type the name of the list, dot, the word append, parentheses, and then the item that you want to append on the end. So they are adding cook food onto the end of this list. So what does that look like? Let's run the program. You'll see we have our 5 initial items: buy food, play games, decorate, send invites, have fun, plus cook food. And we can call this as many times as we want. Party to do list append eat food. Maybe we want to eat the food after we cook it. We run again, we see that eat food was appended onto the end. Let's go ahead and give this a try down below. So, what do we have here? We have a list of fruits. List defined with the square brackets. Our fruits are apple, pineapples, lemons, and grapes. We're printing 3 lines here. At the farmer's market, you can buy the following fruits. That's line 1. Line 2 is they are colon. Line 3 is going to be our list of fruits. Apples, pineapples, lemons, and grapes. Here we're doing the same thing as before. We have our initial list defined with the square brackets, and we're using our new function, append. Append means to add on to the end. We are adding bananas onto the end of this list. So we will have 5 fruits in the list instead of 4. Apples, pineapples, lemons, grapes, and at the end, bananas. So this is going to print the same thing as before. We'll have 3 lines. The farmer's market fruits, they are, and then our list of fruits. And we do see indeed that bananas was added, appended onto the end of our list of fruits. We can combine 2 lists. If we have 2 lists of numbers, here you can see an example of a list of numbers instead of a list of strings. Our first list has 1, 5, 7, 3. Our second list has 4, 6, 9, 4. That will actually join the second list onto the end of the first list. So we should end up with one big list, list 3, that prints 1, 5, 7, 3. 4, 6, 9, 4. You'll see that these numbers weren't rearranged or sorted in any way. They just literally glued the second list onto the end of the first list. So what would you do if you wanted to sort a list? Well, it turns out that Python has a function for that too. Much like the append function, the sort function is called by typing the name of the list, a period, and the word sort, and then open and close parentheses. So list 3 has all of our numbers from list 1 plus all of our numbers from list 2, and then we sort those numbers. So we should end up with the output 1, 3, 4. Now there's 2 4s, so 4 is going to show up twice. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 1, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Let's go ahead and try that down below here. So we have 2 lists here. We have fruits, apples, pineapples, lemons, and grapes. We have vegetables in list 2, carrots, broccoli, spinach, and peas. And list 3 is going to add all of the items from list 2 onto the items from list 1. So, at the farmer's market, you can buy fruits and veggies. They are apples, bananas, lemons, grapes, list 1. Carrots, broccoli, spinach, peas, list 2. Again, if we had those items in the list3 and we wanted to sort them, we are going to call our sort function, list3.sort. So this is going to sort all of these items. So what would that be? Apples, broccoli, carrots, grapes, lemons, peas, pineapple, spinach. Did I get that right? Apples, broccoli, carrots, grapes, lemons, peas, pineapples, spinach. Project management. So these programs we've been writing are very small, very easy to manage, and you can pretty much write them yourself. Some companies start out this way, even with one programmer writing all of the programs themselves. These are called hero programmers. However, once programs become too big for one programmer to manage alone, then you need to bring in other programmers and build a team to work on a program. And when you have a team with several team members in it, you need someone to oversee that team to kind of be the leader. And the person is called a project manager. They oversee the scope of the project. The scope is what the project is supposed to be about. They make sure that programmers are working on what they are supposed to be working on. If you're programming a game and somebody starts working on something that doesn't belong in the game, if you're programming a racing game and someone starts writing, a fight sequence into the racing game, the project manager can say, whoa, 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 this is outside the scope of the project. The example they give here is if you're creating a large website, the scope could be the storyboard, the number of web pages, the images that are on the website. Maybe a programmer is adding a web page that the client doesn't really need. If the website is about racing and you're adding a page about fighting games outside the scope of the project. Money. Projects cost money. Project managers are responsible for estimating how much a project will cost. That way you can tell the client who's going to pay you the money that we are going to charge you $1,000 for your website, or $5,000, or $10,000. The client can agree or disagree or say, oh, we want to spend more money, we want to spend less money. The amount of money being spent tells you how long you can work on the website, how big the website can be, how many people you can hire, how much those people are going to be paid, so on and so forth. Project managers are also responsible for analyzing the project. They are supposed to make sure that the client who's paying you your money to write code gets what they want. They are responsible for analyzing risks. Is there a part of the project that is very, very complicated that the team might not be able to do or finish on time? The project manager needs to see that and point that out and say, this is a problem area. We need to make sure that this gets addressed. They need to address inaccurate scope, which might come from the client or it might come from the programmers. So clients aren't always clear with what they want. They may say, well, I want a racing website that shows all the swords that you can buy and all the boxing gloves that you can buy and, all the fighting gear that you can buy. And the project manager might be like, whoa, 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 this doesn't sound like a racing website at all. This sounds more like a fighting website. Are you sure you don't want a fighting website instead? And the client might be like, oh yeah, you know what? I think I do want a fighting website. Thank you for catching my inaccurate scope. Well, they might not actually say that last part, but hopefully you get the idea. Uh, they're supposed to catch things like insufficient resources if you don't have enough people working on the website, and missed deadlines. So missed deadlines means turning your work in late, You may be surprised to find out that adults sometimes don't get their work done on time, just like students when they are in school. So how do you address those? Uh, Lots of meetings to an extent. Meetings can help. I would say frequent, effective meetings. You would be surprised how many companies don't know how to have effective meetings. They just sit around, they don't know what to talk about and how to find out these issues. So one of the things you look for in an experienced project manager is someone who knows how to run a meeting. And it's not just something you pick up and say, oh, I know how to run a meeting. It's a skill you learn, like anything else. I'm kind of going over time here a little bit, so I'm going to finish this up. Resources. Project management needs to be aware of what resources are available. Resources refers to people and equipment and facilities and money and anything else. So do you need a computer? Yeah, if you're programming. Do you need 5 computers? Well, if you have 5 programmers. Do you need smartphones to test the website on? It's probably a necessary thing. Time. Time is money. Project managers have to be able to manage time, so usually they will create project timelines. This is all about managing and communicating expectations both to the team and to the client. The client likes to know when they're going to get their website. The programmers need to know when they need to have the website done by. This is kind of the same as teachers assigning homework projects and say, okay, we're going to do lesson 1 this week, we're going to do lesson 2 next week, we're going to do lesson 3 the week after that. By Thanksgiving, we should have module 3, lesson 4 done. Same thing. Did you know the Human Genome Project is one of the largest collaborative projects in history? The scientific research project was created to determine the sequence of the human DNA. Its purpose was to map all of the genes of the human genome. The software for analyzing the human genome took 3,300 billion lines of code. It's a weird number. Why don't they say 3.3 trillion lines of code? 3,300 billion lines of code. Ugh. The coding took more time than the actual project. What does that mean? That means running the code took less time than writing the code. Now that makes sense. It takes a lot of time to make sure that the code is working properly. But once you run the code, hopefully it runs efficiently. So what are you doing this week? Go back over this lesson, see if you have any questions, check your understanding of important concepts, and complete 3.4 Python Pro quiz on Schoology. If you have any questions, you can send me a message on Google Hangouts or come to my office hours every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, or send me an email. Just a note that I will not have office hours this Thursday. But if you have a question, you can still send me a message on Google Meet. That completes this lesson. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon.